We'll already start with the webinar, and if people are still joining, Flissa, my colleague who's present here as well, she will make sure everyone can join the webinar. So welcome again in this webinar. Today we proudly present to you our new toolkit facing trauma. Some rules in advance before we really start with the webinar is, first of all, if you want, you can turn on your camera. Only thing to know is that the presentation of the webinar is recorded and will be available later on as well. So just that you know. Flissa turned off the microphones for everyone normally, so that we don't have a lot of noise in the background. If you want, you can share your name and your organization in the chat. So it's nice to see for us who is joining our webinars. Let's see. I will quickly go through the schedule of the webinar. So we will start with a short introduction. My colleague Rob, he will introduce you to Mobile School and to the toolkit, why we developed the toolkit. And then I will take over again to walk you through all the materials of the toolkit. After that, I give the word to Georgiana of Save the Children Bucharest and Many of SolidarityNow in Greece, who are present as well. They will share a little bit about their organization and how they are using the toolkit. And we end with some conclusions, and then there is still 10 minutes left for some Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat already, and then afterwards, after the presentation, we will come back to all these questions. If something is not working or you can see or hear me, please send a message to Flissa and she will try to help you out. Good, then I give the word to Rob, who will do the introduction today.
Thank you, Pam. So welcome from my side as well. I'm Rob Zweldens. I'm managing StreetSmart, and StreetSmart is part of the organization Mobile School, which is hosting this webinar from our base in Leuven in Belgium. And we are actually a social enterprise consisting of two organizations. On the one side, we have Streetwise, which is a for-profit company where we develop leadership training for companies. And on the other side, we have StreetSmart, where we are going to talk about today. StreetSmart is an organization which develops innovative tools, methodologies for youth professionals working with vulnerable children. And one of these tools, of course, is the toolkit which we are presenting today, the Facing Trauma Toolkit. Now, one of the core products of StreetSmart, which we developed more than 20 years ago, is the Mobile School. And the Mobile School is a blackboard on wheels, which is being used in different contexts, but mainly on the street. On the streets where a lot of vulnerable children are gathering. In this particular area, which you can see on the screen at this moment, is in Uganda, where we are working with children who are children and youngsters who are living 24 hours on the street and have different realities and backgrounds from a vulnerable context. If you look at this picture, then you can see different things, of course. You see children smiling, you see children as well who are worrying, you see children who are sniffing glue, you see that people are working there to survive. And more in detail, every one of these children has a big backpack of worries, of traumatic events which have happened. A lot of these youngsters have faced neglect, have faced abuse, and are actually running away from sometimes a home situation which can be quite intrusive for them, being neglected, being abused. Some of them are on the run from conflict, from war situations. There's a lot of violence, of course, as well, not only at home, but particularly as well on the street. It can be a very challenging context, putting children and youngsters against each other. And there's, of course, also the context of addiction, where sniffing glue or consuming cheaper drugs is a survival mechanism for many of these children to survive the harsh reality on the street. Now, on the other side, what we do there is to put some sunlight as well in this harsh reality, and we have developed this mobile school with different educational panels on to develop, actually to ignite the talent and potential of these youngsters, because we believe, of course, that every child has a potential. We try to build self-esteem and resilience from perspective of empathy, trying to understand what drives these children, what's their hope still, and encourage them to go beyond what they are doing at the moment. The mobile school or the materials what we develop also create a kind of relaxation piece, a moment where they can rest, relax, while they are normally working and doing many different challenging things in a street context. And the most important is actually that they get a sense of belonging, a positive feeling. I can belong to this positive context. And this is, of course, something that many of you as a youth worker can relate to. I guess that you create this sense of belonging for youth, a positive environment where they can inspire and flourish again. Now, from this perspective, this is a mobile school in Uganda, but we have 71 of these organizations who are using this kind of materials in 38 countries. And we have seen that many of the children have experienced a traumatic event, and which can lead to a traumatic experience. And that also a lot of our partners had some challenges. Although they have experience with these children and working with on a positive way with many of these youth, we saw that there is a lack of knowledge about the impact of traumatic events. What's a traumatic event? What is a traumatic experience? What's the difference between stress and trauma, and so on? So we want to build to give an answer to them. Also to recognize reactions, symptoms, and triggers of trauma, because it's not always easy to see what's the consequence, what's the effect, and what's the relationship between behavior and the possible causes. And then also what we want to do is to create sensitive, trauma-sensitive materials for prevention and relief. How can we create something where which youth workers can use as well to help them to take care about themselves, to find some comfort, to find ease in a very disturbing reality as well. Preventing re-traumatization is another of the challenges, because we don't want to create too many triggers in order to that they don't relive the traumatic events from the past. And one of the biggest challenges is, of course, the role and the limits of the youth worker. As a youth worker, you're often the first and the most important contact for many of these children, and you have a very important role to play. But there are also some limitations. You cannot solve everything, so you also need to know when to refer, where your limits are, and to take care about yourself, because secondary trauma is, of course, also something that is waiting behind the corner. Now, because of these challenges, we wanted to start up a partnership and write out a European project to develop a kind of toolkit to answer these needs. And we joined in a partnership with our partners, Save the Children from Romania and SolidarityNow, where Georgiana and Meni are present today as well, and will have a word later on during this presentation. But also with a Belgian organization, Minor-Ndako, who is working with non-accompanied minors here in Belgium. The project is funded by the European Union, and the results we will show a bit later. Our aim was to create not only materials for the ones who are using these mobile schools, but to create an open access toolkit where all the materials we create are open, accessible for free for everyone who is joining this webinar, but everyone who's going afterwards to the website will find the materials, will be able to print and use these materials for free. We have developed educational posters, which you can use immediately with your target groups. We have created a manual to make it easy for you to understand how you can use these activities. We have created audio instructions, kind of podcasts you can play with your youngsters as well in different languages. And there's also an online training program, which Pam will explain a bit later as well. Now, all the tools, our most important worry is, of course, that there's a combination between learning and doing. What we want to do, we want to be pragmatic, but also we want to create something which you can implement immediately afterwards in your work, and materials where you can learn and challenge yourself a bit more in order to work really on a trauma-sensitive way. On the other side, even after going through the full training program which we provide, we have to say that not everything is trauma. There are many traumatic events which can happen to children, but not all children have a negative reaction towards a traumatic events. Some of them, they can overcome the situation are resilient and even come better outside a negative event, of course. On the other side, also what we have to say is that not everything is trauma. It means also that we have to look always from perspective of the child. There are so many different backgrounds, so many different stories children have to tell, that we not only have to see or think that, that it's a consequence of a traumatic event. And then third, what I want to say as well is that there are limits. Your own limitations, of course, as a professional. You should take care a lot about yourself, use the materials wisely, and take care about your own limitations. Make sure that you are connected with the network and that you always refer to professionals as well when you have the feeling that more need is necessary. So I want to give now the word to my colleague Pam, who will introduce you to our toolkit, which we developed during the last 2 years. So Pam, the word is to you.
Hi again, I'm back. I'm gonna go over all the materials of the toolkit. To start, I want to warn you that there are a lot of materials. So I hope you can keep track of what I'm telling. Otherwise, you will receive a wrap-up email, of course, with all the materials included. First of all, I want to start with all our new educational posters. So within this project, we developed 10 new educational posters. In what follows, I will quickly explain all of them so that you have a basic idea of how they work. The first one is the Facing Trauma poster. It's called like that. And this poster features 6 characters who are telling about their traumatic experience and how they are dealing now afterwards with this experience or with this situation in their life. You can see that all the stories of the characters are depicted in 8 images, but as well at the front of the poster, you see QR codes, which means that the stories are not only depicted in visuals, but you can also listen to them in an audio version. All of the stories are combined in one playlist on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can find them over there. And they are available in 8 languages. So at the moment, we already have them in English, Dutch, Romanian, Ukrainian, and Greek. And later on, in 2 or 3 weeks, I hope that we will have them in Spanish, French, and Arabic as well. So they can all be found here. You see, so the 5 stories of the characters are available here. What is nice to know as well is that all the characters are coming back in the other 9 posters, we developed this because it's easier for children, or it can be easier for children to reflect on the characters instead of reflecting on themselves. So that's the first poster we wanted to show you. The second poster is the Stress Discovery channel. And this poster is developed to talk about the reactions of trauma. So the traumatic reactions, or if you're in a risky situation, how will you react? So you will see all kinds of animals. And at the border of the poster, there are different characteristics. So the first thing you can do with the poster is to ask one child to go a little bit further away of the group. And the group chooses one animal they want to explain to the child who left the group. So if it's decided, the child comes back, and all children can indicate one of the characteristics so that the child can guess which animal they chose. That's an easy basic layer to start with the poster. Then you will see that all the animals are not really happy. Some are angry, some are sad. And this is because we worked with the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn symptoms. So if you look a little bit more in, this was what I was explaining already. If you look a little bit more in detail to the view tower, to watchtower, you will see the 4 categories I was just explaining. So the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn reactions. So that children can think about, like, which animal do I react when I'm angry, when I'm sad. For example, when I have a fight with my best friend, how will I react? Like, which kind of animal? Which then can further help to discuss, for example, if a child has been in a traumatic situation, like which animal did he or she react. So that's the stress discovery channel. Further, the third poster, it's called Inside the Brain. And this poster is used to explain to the children or to learn them how the brain functions in a traumatic or stressful situation. So if we first focus on the left side of the poster, we see the brain in a normal or comfortable way, which means that the three parts of the brain are functioning well together. So we have the blue part, or the human brain, how we call it, the brain part that is responsible for making decisions, explaining things, have the ability to talk with people, to make decisions. The red part, the emotional part, to control your emotions, to express the emotion you want to express. And the green part is the survival brain, which is responsible for your heart rate, your breathing, and so on. But this part normally goes automatically, so you don't have to think about it. If we compare this part with the right brain, so the brain on the right side of the poster, we see the brain in stress. So you will see how the different of the brain, the different parts of the brain changed in comparison to the left brain. So you will see the blue part, the human brain, became a lot smaller. So it's more difficult to think, to explain, to make decisions. The red part, the emotional part, is totally chaos. So you don't have control over your emotions. And the green part became really big. So now the brain focuses on survival. So we use this poster to learn children the difference between the brain in comfort and the brain in stress. You will see as well a lot of bubbles at the top of the poster, so the kind of memories or situations, so that children can think for themselves, okay, for example, when I'm on an airplane, how is my brain in that situation? Am I comfortable or is this stressful for me? So that children can also think about when their brain is in comfort and when their brain is in stress. Again, you see the different characters at the bottom of the poster, again, so that children can also think for these characters, if they know their story, how or in which situations does this character react stressfully, in which situations is their brain like on the left side or on the right side of the poster. Good. The next one is the self-care city. This poster focuses on self-care strategies. So everyone has different ways to relax. So this poster can help you to talk with children or youngsters about which ways or types of self-care do they prefer. How can you work with the poster? In general, you can ask the children, okay, what do you see on the poster? Which kind of self-care do you practice yourself? What do you like to do? What do you find relaxing? If you want to deepen this conversation, you can use the four methodologies in the corners of the poster. So the first one is are paper planes. So you will see a paper plane with one person and one with multiple persons. So this can help to talk about which self-care methodologies do you like to do alone and which ones do you like to do in group. On the right side, we see the hot air balloon with some different emotions. This can help to talk about, okay, when you're angry, for example, what type of self-care do you practice then? How do you become calm again? As well, if you're sad, what do you do then, and so on. On the right bottom of the poster, we see the self-care compass. This is a compass that also appears in other posters and in the game, you know, as well. This compass can help to talk about, okay, if your body feels really stressed, what type of self-care do you do then? If your head is full of worries, how can you calm down again? As well, if you're emotional, not really stable, what you're gonna do, and relational as well. And then the last thing, left bottom, is the traffic lights, is to think about what do you like to do when you're at comfort? So the green one, the orange one, what do you do when you're a little bit stressed? And red, what type of self-care would you like to do when you're really stressed, very angry or very anxious, for example? How do you come back again to the green level of the traffic lights? As well, you will see some QR codes on this poster as well, because this poster also has some audio elements. This time they are not audio stories, so not stories of characters, but this time they are audio instructions, which are exercises you can immediately do with the children or youngsters you're working with. They are again available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and again in the 8 languages. So they are included in the same playlist as the audio stories. So for each language, we have one playlist. And it are really exercises you can immediately play with the children. For example, a breathing exercise, a yoga exercise, and so on. So they are related to the different islands on the self-care city. Good. Related to self-care is the mandala fun poster. This is actually quite easy game board, an easy poster to work with, because the idea is to complete the other half or the other 3 quarters of the mandala. So you can print the poster so that children can complete the mandala, or they can start from 0, let's say. So in the middle of the poster, there's different steps to complete the mandala and actually to rest. Then as well, we have an animal yoga poster. It's a poster with different yoga poses. Ideas again to have the opportunity to relax with your target group and with the children and youngsters you work with. If you think it's time to do a relaxation exercise, you can use this poster. You will see some different circles on the poster. So the first circle with all the animals and the yoga poses can help to let the children decide which pose do we want to do now. Or you can make an arrow and spin so that you decide as a group, okay, now we will do this yoga pose. If you spin again, you will see a circle with 1 to 4 dots. This can help to determine how many times you have to repeat the yoga pose. Then inside the circle, you see a small version actually of the yoga poses at the outer circle. The idea is here that children can look for the same image. So the images inside are drawn from another perspective. So the idea is, okay, which poses or which pictures do belong together. And then to conclude, we have the square breathing at the border of the poster. So I think some of you might know this exercise already. So breathing 4 times, hold 4 times, breathe out 4 times, and hold again 4 times. So a lot of different methodologies within this poster. The idea to do some yoga, to have a breathing exercise to relax actually. Okay. Then another poster is our Healing Fairy Tales poster. And actually we built this poster or developed this poster so that children can build their own story or build their own fairy tale. And this story can then become a tool for a discussion later on to reflect on some elements of the story. For example, why did you choose this element in the story, or why did the story develop like this? And how do we do this? So first of all, if you really want to have a basic start with the poster, you can ask the children, okay, which fairy tale elements do you recognize in this poster? If that's done, you can continue with building your own story. And therefore, we use the bookmark in the right corner of the poster, because this bookmark can help to structure the story. How does this work? So first of all, for example, you see the location of the story. So where does the story take place? Second one is the hero. So which main character is part of your story, which hero is part of your story. And you will see that in the poster, all the elements have a small circle with them, with a number and a color. So for example, now we are working for the hero, and we're thinking about the hero or the main character of the story, which is green. So the children can choose a character with a green circle. They can choose, or you can also roll a die to decide which character should be included in the poster. So we have location, hero, then we have the friends, who helps you in the story and who helps the hero, who is the friend of the hero in the story. Red is the talent which is used in the story. Yellow is the enemy, so who's the enemy in the story. Orange, the magical tool used in the story, and purple is how does the story end. So building these stories can help to start a discussion about maybe what happened with the child, or why did he or she made specific choices in the story. Questions like, have you ever been in the same situation as the hero? Do you know someone who has been in this situation? So to start up this discussion. Good. Related to this, we have the support team poster, which is meant to identify which people are part of your support team. So in the inner circle, you see the characters of the toolkit again. So you can think about their support team, but as well a person with a question mark, which then can be the child of the youngster you're working with. So the idea is that they think about 10 persons or less, you can choose, of course, which are part of their support team. So you will see at the outer circle, so the circles around the circle with the characters, there are some categories of people who can be part of your support team. So let's say elderly people, adults, youngsters, but as well famous people, or people who are you see in your daily life, like a teacher or a social worker. So the idea is that the children write down their names on the chairs at the bottom of the poster. If you want to deepen this conversation, you can again use the 4 corners of the poster. The first one is again the self-care compass, like I explained already. So which person do you help to calm down your body? Who can you ask for help if your head is full of worries, of troubles, or of questions? Then the right top circle is about the timing of the person. How many times do you see this person? Then about the life domains. On which life domain does this person offers help? For example, this person really helps me with education or with my finance, for example. And then we still have the channels. How do you see this person? Do you see this person in real life, or do you see this person online? Good. Then we have still 2 game boards to introduce to you. So I know it's a lot, but we wanted to show them all. This one is the emotion maze, and it's a poster developed to talk about emotions, to talk about them, to learn about emotions, how to express them, to recognize emotions in another person. And how do we do this? The ideas or the goal of the game board is to complete one row of the poster. So at the border of the poster, you see different rows to complete all the colors. How do you do this? So you start at one of the 4 squares, the white circles in the squares of the poster, and then you have to follow a line to one of the next circles. So you can choose which one, but when you arrive at the circle, you have to stop and do this exercise. So the methodology works always the same. So you end up at a circle, someone of the group chooses a situation in the border of the poster, and in this case, he or she is going to draw this situation. For example, he or she chooses this school in the woods. So he or she draws the situation, and the other team members can guess the situation. If this worked out fine, each group member has to choose which emotion links to this picture or this situation for him or her. Yeah? Some people maybe like school, so they will be happy. Other people are really sad or angry when they have to go to school, so they can choose this emotion. So the idea is to complete an exercise of all the colors at the border of the poster, which are green is to mimic a situation. Pink is to tell or invent a story about the situations. Orange is to describe the situation. and purple is asking yes or no questions to guess which situation it was being chosen. And then blue is, of course, to draw the situation. So the idea is to do this for all of the 5 colors so that you complete a row together actually as a group. And then the last game is our compliments and talents game, and it's developed to learn to give and receive compliments, to think about your own talents and the talents of others, and also to think about where do I want to grow in. The aim is to collect for each category all of the 5 elements, so all the elements which are included here in the squares. How do we do this? So all the players start at one of the squares with a star, because they are reflecting talents. So for example, I really like to be creative. I think that's a talent of me, so I will place my pawn over there. So everyone does this, and then the game starts. So it's a cooperative game. You work together to collect all these categories. So what does the categories mean? So the flower means if you end on a square with a flower, you are going to think about where do I still want to grow in? What can I improve? Then the sun, at that moment, you are the sun of the group, you're in the spotlight of the group, and the group gives you a compliment. Then the stars are reflecting the talents again. So if you land on the square with a star, you think about, okay, what does this image mean? What talents does this image reflect? And then you decide as a group which person of the group is the best in this talent. And then we still have the hearts. It's giving a compliment to someone. You can choose someone of the group. And a mirror is giving a compliment to yourself. So you see different kind of methodologies to give and receive compliments and think about talents. You will also see around the game board or also some other game elements like turning back or rolling the die again, or the joker, which means you can choose which activity or which exercise you want to do. So maybe some of you have already seen that on each poster there is a QR code for more information as well. So if you scan this QR code, you will arrive on this landing page, let's say, where you can choose in which language you want to read the game manual. So for each game, there is a how to play instruction, which is hosted on our StreetSmart Play platform. So all the games are included over there. If you go to there, you can find the materials you need to play the game. So this is also where you can download all the posters I've shown in high quality so that you can print them yourselves if you want. And here you will see some additional variations of the game, some additional information as well. What's nice as well is that our colleague Sander records for each poster a kind of how to play video as well. So if you don't like to read, you can just go to this page as well and watch Sander telling about the game. So I will show a short part of this video if everything works, so that you have a basic idea.
In this video, I will show you how to play the emotion-based game, which is part of our newly developed Facing Trauma toolkit. Now, what do you need to play this game? You will, of course, need the emotion-based poster. You will need bottle caps, and additionally, you will need something to write. For example, chalk on the blackboard, or some pens or pencils and a few papers. If you've collected these materials, you're all good to go and you can start playing the emotion base. So let's have a look at how to play the game.
So just a short example of how some videos are available as well. What is included as well in the toolkit is actually a full game manual of all the games. So instead of going through the QR codes to scan to see the game explanation for one game, you can also consult this full manual where all the games of the posters are included. But as well, at the end of the manual, we also have 40 additional games which can be played without the posters. So if you don't have the time to print the posters, you can take a look over here and just play these games without the posters. These games in the 40 additional games are categorized based on the self-care compass again, which means we have 10 games on emotional self-care, which are games about, again, recognizing and expressing emotions. Social self-care activities, things you can do together. Psychological self-care are all things about relaxation, about making a self-care plan and so on. And physical self-care is really about releasing that extra energy. Good, so that was actually the first part of the toolkit. So we have two parts actually. So the first part is really about the educational materials. So to summarize again, we have 10 new educational posters. 2 of them include audio materials. So that is the first one, the one with the characters. They have 5 audio stories, and the self-care city. The poster about self-care has 6 audio instructions, so really exercises you can immediately play. And all of this is combined, the explanation is combined in the game manual, where you can find 40 additional games as well. So now I will go to the second part of our toolkit, which are the online training programs. So to further support the youth workers, we also developed online training programs to really deepen a bit the topic trauma and how to work with this topic. All the learning programs are hosted on our learning platform. So, which I showed you before, the Play platform, StreetSmart Play, is our playing platform, or game platform, where the games are uploaded. Here, StreetSmart Learn is our learning platform. So here you can find a lot of online training. So as you can see here, we already developed some other trainings as well on different topics like psychology, financial literacy, children's rights, and so on. And now we added a new topic on trauma-informed youth work. We developed 5 new training courses, training programs to further support youth workers in the topic. And we have them available in 4 languages, or we will have them available, because now we already have English, Dutch, and Spanish available. And then I think in 1 or 2 weeks, French will be available as well. I quickly want to show you a little bit how it looks like. So you will see if you consult the program, you will see what will you learn about this program, and then the courses within this program. The structure we used for the training programs is the following. So the first program is actually a kind of introduction. So an introduction in trauma-informed youth work, where we give the theoretical or explain the theoretical framework we use in the following training programs. We also talk a little bit about the role of the youth professional, like what is your job, when do you need to refer to someone else, how can you collaborate with other partners. And then we take a look as well at the principles of trauma-informed youth work. So this is actually a kind of short introductory program to go to the next programs, which the first one is Realize. It's about realizing what trauma means. And therefore we take a look at the concept of trauma. So what is trauma? What is it not? So kind of definition, discussion about this. Then we have a course as well about adverse childhood experiences. So what are these? What are the categories? How can we work with this? And as well a part on the brain. So what does trauma do with the brain? How does it influence the brain and further brain development as well? The third program is about recognizing. Okay, so when we realize or know a little bit more about trauma, how can we recognize some reactions of trauma? So you might know that some people react immediately after a traumatic event or have a reaction. Others maybe have 2 or 3 months later kind of reaction. And of course, the reactions are different for everyone. It's well about the symptoms of trauma, so which symptoms can appear after a traumatic event, and as well as triggers. So what are triggers and how do triggers work? Then the fourth program is about psychological first aid. It's about what can we do when we recognize some reactions or symptoms or triggers. And the first course focuses on psychological first aid. So what are the first things we can do to comfort children or youngsters you're working with? And the second and third course in this program are about self-care techniques. So really talking about breathing exercises, grounding exercises, but as well more creative kind of things, or emotion regulation and so on. And then we conclude with the resist re-traumatization. How can we prevent re-traumatization? Which principles do we have to take in mind? As well, for you as a youth professional, if you are exposed to trauma in your daily work, what are the kind of different effects that can appear? How do you deal with this? And then we take a look at self-care on an individual level and as well on an organizational level. So how can you develop a self-care plan individually, but as well, how can we integrate self-care on organizational level? So these are all the 5 training programs we developed. We have a kind of order in it, but you can also follow them separately. So you don't have to go through all of them. You can really choose. What do we try to do is to make it always as interactive as possible. So you will see there are different kind of exercises in the training programs, as well as some videos, some quiz questions, so that you really are engaged in following the training courses and programs. If you complete a course and a program, you will always receive a certificate, so that you can share on LinkedIn and so on as well if you want. So, and again, where is everything available? This is on StreetSmart Learn. And this is the URL you can use if you are interested in the materials. So that was it as well. So 10 educational posters with the manual and the audio materials, and then 5 training programs. Where can you find everything? That is on this webpage, so the Facing Trauma webpage. It's hosted on our StreetSmart website, where you can find other toolkits as well. So here you can see the 4 components I just explained. So the first one, the educational posters, all 10 of them are listed over here. If you click on download this poster, you will arrive at the StreetSmart Play page, where you can download the poster in high definition, actually, if you want to print or use them in your class, for example, yourself. Then we have the games and activities, which are combined in one document, so one game manual. This manual is, of course, also available in different languages. So we have English, Dutch, Greek, Romanian, and later on as well, Spanish and French. Like I said, all the explanation of the posters can be found here, as well as the 40 additional games. Then the audio stories and instructions, they are all combined in a playlist on Spotify. So if you look for Facing Trauma, you will find this playlist, but as well here you can find them all separately in all the different languages. And then at last, the short training. So the training is listed over here as well, the 5 training programs. If you click again on the link, you will arrive on StreetSmart Learn, so actually our online learning platform, where you can log in and immediately follow the course or the program you're interested in. So that was it for the toolkits, so all the materials of the toolkit. I know it's a lot, but we wanted to show everything so that you might be triggered to look further at the things you're interested in. What we want to show you as well is that we already did some testing, of course, with the materials. I want to show these pictures before I give the word to Georgiana and Meni for some time. Just to let you know that we already tested them and that we received a lot of positive reactions already on the toolkit. What is nice to know as well is that we already launched officially the materials in Belgium, Romania, and Greece. So now a lot of you workers, you professionals already know the existence of this toolkit, and we hope they are using them already, of course. So here's some pictures. And like I said, we already did some testing. We wanted to show you which the amount of people are already engaged with the toolkits. So you can see that already 561 children participated in these testing sessions to give feedback and to already experience a little bit how the materials work. 7 organizations participated in this testing phase. And now I just checked the numbers today, but today 284 certificates are already generated on StreetSmart Learn. So which means that already 284 times people followed a course or a program. And the audio stories and instructions are already streamed 114 times already, which is cool as well to see. Okay, now I will give the word to Meni and Georgiana. As I see, I don't have a lot of time anymore in this hour, so I hope everyone still has a few more minutes to listen to Meni and Georgiana, because they will share a little bit about how they are using the toolkit and how they are working in Greece and Romania. So I first give the word to Meni, if that's okay, and I will stop sharing my screen so that everyone can see Meni in full version, let's say. Okay, Meni, word is to you then.
Thank you, Pam. Hello, everyone. My name is Meni Christidou. I'm a social worker from Greece. I work for SolidarityNow, a national NGO here. I work in an organization that mostly supports refugees and migrants with holistic approach. We're trying to have all kinds of services in order to meet their needs here. Child protection programs, housing programs, protection programs, supporting to women, trafficking, and so on. In parallel, I'm a master trainer also for mobile school. So in case somebody wants a new mobile school, I'm in the team traveling there to provide training, implementation. So as an organization, SolidarityNow, we were involved in this project, and we were very, very happy to do so. At the beginning, the truth is that we were like, okay, because, okay, I have some experience working with posters and panels and the methodology of mobile school, but I was never involved actually due to the production of poster. It was really, really interesting. At first, it was like a house, to be honest. I wasn't very prepared to do that, but it went very, very smoothly, and we are very proud of what we created. During the testing periods, we tried here in SolidarityNow and in other organizations, also here in Greece, the toolkit, and it was really helpful because we've seen different children to be able to express themselves, to find talents, or to express their emotion, or being able to accept the emotions of other people, other children. So it was very, very useful, and I've seen it in action. And other colleagues of mine also saw it in action. And as an organization also, we are a national organization, but we were very happy to implement 2 missions abroad. One of them was after the deadly earthquake in Turkey, 2023. So as a team Greece, to this project, we contributed creating also the audio story of Elias, a child that actually is in a camp with tents after an earthquake in their area. And this actually story was created after being part of that team and being able to hear and experience all that different people there after the deadly earthquake in Turkey. And last but not least, I would like to share that I have two favorite posters of this toolkit. I couldn't choose one. It was really, really difficult even to actually have only two. The first one is the Self-Care City poster, because it gives the opportunity to everyone actually, and children mostly, to find ways to regulate themselves. And this is really, really helpful sometimes. And the second is the Compliments and Talents, because I saw that it gives the opportunity to children to discover their talents and find that they are good in many, many ways, in many different ways and tasks. And I've seen that it's really, really helpful. So thank you. I'm at your disposal for any questions. I did it as fast as possible, not to take more time of you. Georgiana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here today, actually, nearly at the end of this project. It was an amazing journey for us, and I'm still amazed how great this toolkit is. My name is Georgiana Dobre. I'm a psychologist. I work with Save the Children Romania. It's an organization dedicated to support children and youth, and of course their families, especially people from vulnerable environments. Also, since the Ukraine crisis, we worked a lot with refugee children and families. And I tell you this because this is how the character of Victoria was born, actually. She's like a combination of stories that we collected working with so many families at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. So yes, for us, it's a little bit of heartwarming story, and we love this character. I'm very proud and happy to be part of the team, but in the last two months, it was especially rewarding for me to see all my colleagues working with this toolkit and discovering all these great elements that the toolkit have, from, I don't know, the posters, the audio materials, the self-care compass, which is such a nice feature for everyone. It was mind-blowing. And of course the manual, because we realized how important it is for everyone working with children directly and with their families to have a ready-to-use manual with so many activities and suggestions for some more. So for us, it was really a revelation to have some materials and so many ways to use them and combine them, because we have written a manual with 60 activities, but you can use it in so many more ways. I don't know if I can choose this point a favorite, but I think my colleagues actually picked one of their favorites, is the Stress Discovery Channel, because everybody said it's so easy to make children open up about their emotions and help them, I don't know, gain a new perspective and understand that different people can experience in different ways the same life scenery. So it was really a great tool for them to use with children. And of course, it was very appreciated that it can be used in different, I don't know, volumes. Let's say maybe with some groups, you only use it to explore some animals and some reactions and basic emotions. With other groups, you can go deeper and really discuss about what stress is, because it's important for us to also have this kind of discussions with the children. And of course, the one with the talents and compliments, it was a hit among children and as well the grown-ups and our colleagues, our volunteers. So it was a little bit hard at the beginning, okay, to give ourselves so many compliments, but it was such a great exercise. And for children, it's important to have this kind of interaction and positive models. It was very nice. And now at this very moment, we have 20 new volunteers in the next room that are being trained, and also they're being trained with Facing Trauma Toolkit. So in the next weeks, they'll find the materials at the educational centers that we have on different parts of the city, and they will just use it with children. So we're very happy to have this kind of opportunity, and like I don't know, suggestion we have it involve as many grown-ups you can in using this toolkit, because it's such a great tool, and they're very excited to have hands-on material. I think that's about it. So if you have some questions, we're here to respond. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Mene and Georgiana, for sharing. I hope you see again my screen in the normal way, or the way we would like to have it. So thanks for sharing. Indeed, Mene and Georgiana are still here for some questions. Me and Flissen as well. To conclude, I want again to show you the website. So it's Facing Trauma. Actually, I just noticed that this is the Dutch version of the website, so please delete the NL in between to find the English version. So where you can find all the materials and discover a little bit further all the elements of the toolkit. We know it is a lot, but we wanted to introduce you to all the elements so that you can look for yourself in detail on which elements you are more interested. As well, if you want to check our other toolkits, we also developed materials in collaboration with Tomorrowland. So these are some materials on music, arts, and so on. 2 years ago, we developed a kind of big toolkit, a little bit like this one, on children's rights. So it might be interesting as well. We have some things on financial literacy and so on. So it's really nice to check this website out as well. And then only the last 2 things I want to do is thanks again all the partners involved in this project. So Mene and Georgiana and your organizations, of course, and Minor-Ndako, another Flemish organization who joined the project. And of course, the European Union who co-funded this project.